Good evening. I hope you're well. Um, I'd almost say Happy New Month, because the sessions are normally they're normally, what do I call it? Monthly editions. So I almost said Happy New Month, but well, we are midway, like mid the month. So and the year is almost coming to a close, and I am so grateful for how the year has been. Thank you for the support. Um, and also, I really hope that the sessions are having an impact on your mental health awareness. All right. So, I am hoping that by the time we have covered quite um, almost all the basics of mental health and of psychotherapy. I hope that you will be at least around 50% knowledgeable on mental health issues, because um, knowledge is a learning process, or acquiring information is a process, okay? Is a continuous process. So we cannot say that we have learned everything there is to learn. Actually, in terms of talking about self-awareness, because that's what we've mostly been doing this year, like I normally love to recap. In January, we did an introduction to mental health. And then in Feb, that's when we started the self awareness series. Okay. And I feel like it would be wrong of me to assume that I've exhausted everything about mental health, even introduction to mental health. If I bring in another mental health advocate, or I bring in another psychotherapist, they will have probably a few more things to add to what I said about mental health, or even some might contradict some of the things that I shared, but I believe what I shared was basic knowledge and was verified information, but they might have a new perspective to part of the things that we talked about, you know. So it's very important that we learn that this is a continuous process. So that's why I'm saying by the time we are done with the basics of, mental health, which we have not, we just imagine the whole of this year, we've only tackled one aspect. One, I told you, I remember in January, I said that mental health, the knowledge of mental health, it starts from self-awareness, or improving mental health, not the knowledge, improving mental health, it starts from self-awareness. And that's why I started like covering first on self-awareness, and God willing, in the next sessions that will be coming up, not December, probably later, maybe next year, maybe, I don't know, as God would will, we will cover other basic concepts of mental health. For instance, I say that when we talk about mental health, it's about the mind, mental mind. So anything to do with the mind, it deals with behavior, feelings, attitude, right? And there are six main functions, but I love to put them into those three because they're just the same. So if I say the six main functions are behaviors, emotions, feelings, per- perception, then I say attitude, like you can see zinajirudia. So that's why I love saying behavior, feelings, attitude, because they cover almost everything to do with the mind. All right. So in future, the basics that I feel like I would love to for us to get into in the near future would be behaviors, feelings, and attitude exhaustively. All right. And so I look forward to that. But for now, we are winding up on self-awareness. And that's why I was saying I know there is so much more that we would have talked about, and probably in future we will. And also in future, probably someone might come across the lives that we have done, the sessions that we have done, and if they have valuable additions, I might bring them in to talk about them. I've not closed down on self-awareness completely, and I have not like, I'm not saying that my opinions or the information that I shared exclude, they are the ones that are about self-awareness and nothing else can be added. I welcome other people's input as far as you have anything that I feel would add on to what we have been talking about. Otherwise, that said, today, like I had earlier said, I want us to just do a recap on what we have been talking about since Feb. Let me put my slides. Uh, Let me start presenting my slides. So in Feb, that's when we started the self-awareness series, and man, it has been, I don't know. I wouldn't have known we would reach this far, but it has been such a good series, I believe, even for you. And so, in case you have any questions, because today I'll just do a recap. I'll just do a recap. And if you have any questions, feel free to type in the chat box. I know my audience is normally the silent one, but I invite your input. So if you have anything you can add, you can ask, you can comment, all right, in the chat box, and I'm going to get back. I'm going to respond to any questions you might be having. And also, you can share this live with your loved ones, okay? Let us It's very important, and in the slides you'll see one of the importance of self-awareness is that it helps us build healthier relationships. Now, I wouldn't love you to be drained. Can you imagine you're the only person who has this information and you're trying to be self-aware, to keep up with it, and people in your circles have no clue? You'll be exhausted, you'll burn out, because you'll wish that, as human beings, we normally wish whatever you're giving, at least it can be reciprocated. But when it is you, kuna venye itafika point you are, at some point you will feel exhausted or something like that. So it's important for you to have such discussions with your loved ones, with your friends, with your colleagues, with everyone you interact with, your neighbors. It's not a must you share this live with them, but you can pick the notes or one or two aspects of what we are going to talk about, and you can just bring it up as a discussion with them, and we see how that goes, right? So yeah. So like I was saying, in Feb we started the introduction on self-awareness. Let me look for my slides. Me. All right. Present. Hmm. Okay. My slides are loading. Don't know why. So the other time I tried to log in a bit earlier, but now you see the challenge with that is that I log in and I'm just quiet here. So someone might think the session is not going on, so some people might log out. So that's why today I started on the dot, 8 on the dot. But then the challenge with that is that that's when you have to put your slides. That's when you have to confirm that the camera is fine. So in case I had logged in and maybe there was a hiccup somewhere and probably the background or whatever, I would have had to adjust that. But well, like I told you guys another time, I am still perfecting. We grow every day. Yeah, and we become better day by day. So finally they loaded. Here they are. Fine. Okay. So yeah. Huh. What have we done? No, 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 no. Not these slides. Remove. Just a minute. Okay, like I was saying, in Feb we started the discussion on self-awareness, and then in March we started on the personality disorders, and then in April we paused and thought, all right, how about we first do personalities and not personality disorders, because it's like I had skipped that part of personalities. As much as we'd think we know much about personality, but I felt it's important, instead of me continuing with personality disorders, I first do personalities, and then let me put some light. I hope that will be better. Yeah. So that's what I thought. Let me first go back to personality. So in April we started on personalities and we did one theory, birth order theory. And then in May, we had the mental health uh month. Yeah. So I did a special edition in May. In June, we went back to the theories, personality theories. And then in July, we did have a session. In August, we did two more of those theories. Yeah, or one. We did one in August. And then in September, yeah, we in August we concluded on the theories, and then in September we went back to the personality disorders. I did one then, and then last month we did the other one. So we did cluster C in March, in Feb and March, cluster C. Then in September we did cluster B, and in October we did cluster A. And today we are winding up on that. And then next month, God willing, I'm going to have just a special edition to wind up completely on this self-awareness thing. All right. And that one will be an interesting one. I am also so happy about it because I don't know how I received that insight, but you're going to see it when that time comes. All right. So make sure you don't miss next month's edition. So let me go straight into it. I'm just going to rush through the slides. And the importance of this session is that as much as you missed any of the session or the sessions that were there, this this will act like a summary and it will be easy for you to understand what we were talking about. So in case you'll have any questions or you'll need more information, you can easily go back to the sessions that we did from Feb to now, and you will get the information you need. But in case you go back to those slides and you still have a question or questions, I'll be more than glad to respond, like I had earlier stated. So we say that self-awareness is the conscious knowledge of one's character, character, feelings, motives, and desires. So we said that for you to know your character, you have to identify your strengths and your weaknesses. And then, if you want to know your motives and desires, you have to identify where you've come from. And I remember that time I gave an example of how, where we were brought up, the things that we went through, they're the ones that shape our motives. All right. So if you are brought up in a certain background, it will shape your desires and your motives. Either you'll want to better the experiences you went through, so that will sort of, you know, will sort of inspire your motives and your desires. Okay. And I gave an example of, if you came from a family where you know, a background that you didn't have 3 meals a day, for instance, it might give you that desire to maybe work harder in school, go to a certain profession, so that you are able to achieve more than 1 meal in a day. So you'll find such a person, their motives and their desires, they are driven by what they went through as they were growing up, or rather where they came from. And then also, another thing I said about motives and desires, they can also be shaped by our values, like the values that you are brought up with, whether they come from a religious, you know, your from a religious background, or just normal values, human values, tradition, or whatever. So that's what I mean by identifying where you've come from. And then now, that will inform your destination. Your motives and your desires will always inform your destination. So if your motives are not good, right? And I remember also in that live I said something. Sometimes our motives may be good but produce a bad result, or our motives may be bad and funny enough produce a good result. So you have to be very keen on motives. Why do you do the things that you do? Because if you have a wrong motive, then it's sad to say that you won't last long. All right. So you need to really consider that. So anyway, one needs to discover where they want to go and pursue it, realize what they can do, and trying it out despite the limiting factors from the environment and experiences. So that's still an explanation on character, feelings, motives, and desires. Okay. So one needs to discover where they want to go and pursue it, realize what they can do, and trying it out despite the limiting factors of the environment and experiences. So the relationship with mental health, the relationship between self-awareness and mental health is that um, self-awareness, okay, where you're going, where you're from, and what you can do is determined by how you cope with the challenges of life, your effectiveness in day-to-day activities, and your relationship with others. Okay. So, like I have said in the previous slide, self-awareness is about your feelings, your motives, your character, and your desires. And we have said, for something like motives and desires is from where you come from, and also they inform where you want to go, you know. And so that's why we are saying where you are going and where you are from and what you can do is determined by how you cope with the challenges of life. Because it's not an easy ride. We have all seen how life is, you know, up, down, down, up. Huh? That's how life is, and that's how it takes us. So if you're not able to cope with that, hmm, and be effective in your day-to-day activities. For instance, as much as I came from a humble background and I want to improve that background, I want to have a better one. I want to have 3 meals or more per day. I want to enjoy good transport as I'm going to work, because I was brought up in a background where I used to walk all the way to where I'm going, but I'm not effective in my day-to-day activities. How will I afford that life? How will I be able to keep up with that, you know? And so you'll find that it really interferes with who you are. And if you are not conscious, if you're not conscious of yourself, if you're not remaining conscious and keeping yourself in check, which is what I have called self-awareness, to realize that I'm not being effective in my day-to-day activities, that's why I'm saying it's going to affect your self-awareness journey. And then also your relationship with others, like we will see in the slides ahead, is that our relationship with others is very important because it's part of the things that can help us be self-aware. Okay, one of the theory called Johari's window, it emphasizes on the importance of letting other people also give their input on who we are, because there is one, I can know myself, there are things I know about myself and people know about me, there are things I don't know about myself but other people know, and that's why it's important, okay, to welcome their input. So anyway, another relationship between self-awareness and mental health is that there are mental health illnesses that we can say they are associated with self-awareness. Some of these illnesses, they are called, I mean, these illnesses are called personality disorders, such as histrionic, paranoid, antisocial, narcissistic disorder. Okay, those are just the examples, and we're going to talk about them. So, what are some of the aspects of self-awareness? One, body image. What is body image? This is an individual's perception on their body size, shape, weight, attractiveness, and how they describe themselves. Then there is self-image or actual self. This is how we perceive ourselves or others perceive us, and it attributes to our characteristics and abilities learned from the judgment of others and personal experiences. Okay. And then ideal self is a perception of who one wants to be. It's a set of beliefs an individual holds concerning how they should behave, duties, obligations, responsibilities, hopes, aspirations, and goals. Mhm. And then self esteem is the value that one puts on themselves, a sense of worth, confidence, motivation, positive outlook on life, self acceptance, and reliance. So then there is self actualization, which is the ability to achieve all we hoped for, or reaching our full potential and being able to help others achieve what they hope for or walk in our steps. So that's what we call self actualization. I believe these are self explanatory, but let me just highlight them. So you have said body image is your perception on yourself, on your body. This is my body size and you know it. Okay, this is my shape, this is my weight. That's an aspect of self-awareness. This is my attractiveness, I'm beautiful, you know. Then self-image, you have said, is how you perceive yourself or others perceive you. Okay, so that's self-image. So now it's about our attributes, characteristics, and our abilities. Like I've said, your relationship with other people. I might not be seeing myself as a good public speaker, but someone else might have seen it and, you know, pointed it out, which is a true story for me. The director of my school where I cleared my KCPE exams, she used to tell me, Sarah, and I was a shy girl. Oh, I was so timid. Anyway, I'm still working on that part of my life, but at that time it was bad, bad, bad. And I had so many things that would make me believe otherwise. But she used to look at me and tell me, you're a good public speaker. You can do this, you can do that. You can do this, you can do that. And that's what we can call self-image. So it's how you perceive yourself or how others perceive you, and they can call out some of the attributes or characteristics, okay, in your life. And then there is the ideal self, which is the perception of who you want to be, okay. And that's why we have said some of the duties of who you want to be, the obligations, the responsibilities, the hopes, the aspirations, and the goals you look forward to achieving or to doing. And then there is self-esteem. Now, that's the value you put on yourself. And I remember on the other one, we talked about, on the main session, we talked about this and we said, as much as there is high self-esteem and there is low self-esteem, none of those are good, because if you put too much value on yourself, you might end up looking down on people. And if you put low value on yourself or no value, then there is a problem as well, because you will not live to see yourself as worthy, or you will not live to fulfill your purpose, okay? Or to have even goals and ambitions. So we said it's important to balance the value that you put on yourself. Make sure it's a healthy value or healthy self-esteem. And then there is self-actualization. Now this is what we all want to achieve someday, reaching your potential, that one day you look back and say, all the hopes I had, all the obligations I had, all the aspirations, all the goals I had set, oh my, like I have achieved it all. You see, I have achieved it all and I've become better and better and better. And so at that point, then you are able to help others, okay? Yes, you're able to help others and pull them up. In benefits are, you get benefits of self-awareness, you get a clear image on yourself, you gain control of your life, you have ability to handle stress and challenges of life, you gain insight and commitment to personal growth, and then you have an ability to empathize with others and be sensitive to their needs. I feel the need to explain more, but because there is that, the main session is there, I explain in detail these things. You can please go back and you know yeah, catch up. Okay. Yeah. So what is personality? I love this. Personality is the pattern of thoughts, feelings, behaviors that makes a person unique. Personality is the pattern of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that make a person unique. So it has to be a pattern. A pattern, there is a time I was explaining pattern and I said it's how you do things. They are consistent, like you can even predict, they are predictable and they are consistent. So a consistency in your thoughts, a consistency in your feelings, and a consistency in your behaviors, a set of them that make you unique. So I know we can say I am responsible, and 10 other people in the room will say they are responsible, but probably to mine I can add I am responsible, I am sociable, I am firm, I am hardworking, those things. And then the other person, they'll have their own set. They'll say they are responsible, they are calm, they are innovative, they are blah, blah, blah. That makes them unique because there is just one distinguishing factor that we'll have, that my set of uh, thoughts, feelings, and behavior are not compatible to any others. There is just something that always make me stand out and different. You cannot be the same. So, in the field of psychology, which we normally say it's the study of the mind, different philosophers came up with different theories to try and explain personalities, which we have said it's a pattern of thoughts, behaviors, and feelings. So, they wanted to understand, okay, how is it that these things make a person unique? How do they come about? And so, there are so many theories, so many. But for me, I just narrow down to the ones that I'm familiar with and the ones that I use. Okay. And so there is birth order theory, there is Sheldon's body type theory, there is Big Five theory, and then there is proto-psychological theory, and then there is Johari's window. So I'm going to go through them just I'm just going to read through because they are self-explanatory. But if you need more information, like I've said, you can go back to the sessions. So in the birth order theory, it assumes that people form personalities based on their birth order. For example, the first child is responsible, innovative, caring, organized, is a leader, they are tempered, they are sarcastic, impatient, and difficult to please. According to the birth order theory, it says that second children are social, confident, fun lovers, ambitious, shameless, exaggerators, unauthentic, argumentative, unwilling to do tasks they are not interested in. The third child is hardworking, kind, firm, honest, loyal, neat, mean with space, perfectionist, petty, a procrastinator, and stubborn. The fourth child is ambitious, is a leader, is pleasant, is sociable, is bossy, is impatient, is low on empathy, is unable to relax, and is rude. The only child is organized, excessive planner, independent, observant, calm, optimistic, creative, fearful of change, moody, too cautious, and inflexible. So the reason why I said the 5, again, I'll do something that I did in the other session. According to this theory, and according to your philosopher here, yours truly, it starts with first child, second child, third child, fourth child, and an only child, who is also the fifth child. So if in your household you're more than 5, then you will come back. So the sixth child will have the same personality as a first child. The seventh, same personality as a second child. The eighth, same personality as the third child. The ninth, same personality as the fourth child. And then the 10th, same personality as an only child, fifth child, and 10th child. And the cycle continues. If you're more than that, then 11th born anachukua the first born. 12th born anachukua second born, 13th born hivyo. Okay, and it's a very interesting theory. You can go back to the session and we discussed in depth, so it's funny. But there's something I want us to note at the end. But as I finish mentioning these things, we are going to note something, so that you are not a second child and some of these characteristics, you're looking at them and you're like, that's not me. This girl is just telling us, don't worry, I got you. At the end, we are going to discuss something. Anyway, then the second theory is Sheldon's body type theory, which assumes that people form personalities according to their body types. The ectomorphs, the mesomorphs, and the endomorphs. So ectomorphs are thin people, they have their own personality. Mesomorphs, medium, they have their own personality, and endomorphs have their own personality. Now, for instance, if I used to be plump and now I am medium, or now I'm back to being thin, please forgive me for using the words thin, plump, fat. Just understand me for today, for the basis of the session. All right. So if I gain another body type, it doesn't mean that I have lost that personality, or it doesn't mean that I will retain it. Do you understand? It's based on environment. Okay, now the disclaimer I was to put at the end, let me put it here. It's based on the environment, the experiences, and the genetic compositions. Those are some of the main things that will determine how that personality, whether it will change or it will not. Okay, your environment, that means for instance, an environment could be where you live, the people you interact with, okay, the places of worship you go to, the places you work, the places you go for fun. All right, that's what we can call environment. Or experiences can mean the things that you go through. Those are experiences. So if you're going through some things, if you used to go through some things as an endomorph, when you become thin, again, you might go through other things that will compare to an ectomorph, and it might change your personality. So that's what I want you to understand. So as much as there is that discussion where people say personality can never change, I have my own opinion and other people have their own opinions, but we will see. We will know. I welcome the discussion. And then there is the big 5 personality type. So this one was built to understand the relationship between academics and personality. So we have neuroticism. Neuroticism is a form of mental illness, which we normally call neurosis. Okay, there's a mental illness called neurosis, which is characterized by chronic distress or negative emotions. So these guys, they worry about things. They're easily disturbed. They have mood swings. They're irritable. They're insecure, they are hostile, they are vulnerable. So that's a neurotic person. And then in agreeableness, they have prosocial behaviors. Okay, so they are cooperative, they are affectionate, they are less rigid, they are easily forgiving, they avoid trouble, they are resilient, they are concerned and empathetic. These are guys who are even concerned about other people's welfare. They are so quick to forgive people. And then there is extraversion, which means they are extra. Extra. I know we love that term in our generation, but yeah. So extraversion, they are warm, they are cheerful, they are talkative, they are ambitious, they love being the center of attraction, they are assertive, and they are friendly. So that's extraversion. So in the big five personality types, there are these five people. We have said they are neurotics, they are agreeables, they are extraversion, and then there is conscientious. These are people who love being thoughtful, goal oriented, organized, keen to details, planners. They always finish tasks. They think about how their behaviors affect others and they create schedules. And then there is openness. That's also another personality type under Big Five personality type. So these are guys who are high in imagination, insight, uh, and creativity. So they enjoy new experiences, they have a broad range of interests, they have high curiosity, they are ready to learn new things, and they are very creative. Okay. Yeah, so the fourth type, I believe those are self-explanatory. In case you feel I'm too fast, you can always come back. And good thing is my videos are downloadable. So you can download them and listen to them while you're working, walking, or whichever the case, in case you feel I am being too fast. Or if you need more details, you can go back to the sessions that we did, like that one we did in August. Yeah. So if you go back to the session in August, I explained these things in details. Anyway, the last personality theory that we looked at was proto-psychological. So that means that there are four humors, and I spelled humors vibaya. Oh, I can't change. So I don't know what I've done. Yeah. So there are four humors, which means humors has an MOURS, which are body fluids. So in our bodies, we have blood, we have yellow bile, we have black bile, and we have phlegm or phlegm or whatever you call it. So this theory, it assumes that personality is based on the basis on which body fluid is excess in our bodies. Okay, so this theory assumes that either you have excess blood, okay, or it's the dominant one. You have too much blood, okay, or you have too much yellow bile, or you have too much black bile, or you have too much phlegm, okay, for every one of us. So for instance, me, I might be having too much blood, and so that means that I'll have a certain personality type. So for people who have excess blood, we call them sanguines. That means they are too happy. No wonder maybe in Swahili we love to say da akona damu moto or damu inakimbia, something like that. These are guys who are happy, who are charismatic, outgoing, warm-hearted, lively, sociable, impulsive, forgetful, too loud, self-absorbed, and compulsive talkers. These are just a few. But if you go back to the session again, you're going to find them in detail. And then people who have excess phlegm, we call them phlegmatics. This means that they are too calm or they are too relaxed. So they are content with themselves, they are affectionate, they are relaxed, they are faithful, they are consistent, they are observant, they are shy, they are passive aggressive, they are non-participative, and they are unenthusiastic, among many other things. People who have excess bile, we call them melancholics. They are too sad. For instance, they are thoughtful, cautious, detailed. They prevent problems. They don't love problems. They'd rather mitigate. Yes, they'd rather prevent than cure. That's what I wanted to say. They are too cautious, they are pessimistic, they are deeply affected by tragedy, they have a tunnel vision. It's expected, and then they are discontent with themselves and even with others. Hatoshekagi, always complaining and all that. And then people with excess yellow bile, we call them cholerics. They are too angry. So we can call them passionate, they are motivating, they love delegating, they are practical, they are focused, they are aggressive, they're inflexible, they are impatient, they are uncomfortable around emotions. These are people you tell them thank you, and then they're like, I love you. They go back to their business as if they didn't hear anything you said. They are uncomfortable around emotions and they don't have empathy. Kabisa. Anyway, they're busy for people and they hate failure. Those are cholerics for you. So this is the note that I was telling you. Note that these theories or tests don't determine the type of person that one is. Okay? Because like I've told you, they're just theories. And even one of the theories that I've stated here, it's something that I have found out from my interactions with people and my clients and all that. And I added on to one of those theories. So people can come up with new theories every day and again, and theories can change, all right? So, yeah, so they don't determine the type of person one is, and they can change. And also, they cannot uncover one's whole personality, okay? But it can help you get an understanding of yourself and the way you handle certain situations. So, for instance, if you learn you're shy, or you are self absorbed, or you are a compulsive talker, all right, or you are uncomfortable around emotions, what are you doing about it? Okay, because I remember in the other session I said when you know your strengths, you maximize on them. When you know your weaknesses, you work on them. So, for instance, if you know you're charismatic, that's a strength. How can you maximize on this strength of you being a charismatic person? All right. And then if you know your weakness, what are you doing about it? Or you're just telling us, Mina Kwageivo, deal with it. What are you doing about it? So that's the importance of knowing these things. And I am sure we can relate with one or two of those things, okay? So they help you gain understanding of yourself and also of people around you. Now, personality disorder. What are personality disorders? Personality disorders are mental health conditions that affect how we think, feel, and behave. So, for instance, if you saw you are part of the way you think, feel, and behave is you are affectionate, you're responsible, you're hardworking. When a disorder comes in, then that means it affects how you think, feel, and behave. Okay, it can disturb your day-to-day activity, your relationships, and your self-perception. Okay, and so I told you guys that all of us, we have one or more of these personality disorders. Okay, at least one. And myself, I told you I have one of these things, and I know all of us, kuna moja tu, you cannot miss yourself in one of these. So cluster A, people with this type of disorder are generally described as having odd or eccentric thoughts or behaviors. So these are people who are suspicious. Okay, one of it in cluster A is paranoid personality disorder. These are people who are suspicious and untrusting of others. Then there is schizoid personality disorder. These are people who lack interest in social relationships and have an emotional response to social interactions. And then we have schizotypal personality disorder. These are people who have difficulty forming close relationships and may also behave strangely and have strange beliefs. For example, they may believe that their thoughts can influence people's and events. I told you the other day they go outside and they believe that it's going to rain. They shut their eyes and they think it's going to rain. Or they think when they appear in a place and say, I'm going to have bread, that bread will magically appear from someone's shop to them. So that's schizotypal personality disorder. So for paranoid, what are some of the characteristics? Okay, we said they suspect without sufficient basis. They are preoccupied with unjustified doubts, okay, about the loyalty or trustworthiness of their friends. They are reluctant to confide in others because of fear that the information will be used maliciously against them. They read hidden meaning, okay, from or threatening meanings into benign remarks or events, something that, you know, there was nothing to pick out of it, but they have to pick something from it and say they meant this hidden meaning from benign remarks or events. Then they persistently bear grudges. They perceive attacks on their character or reputation. Okay, and also they have recurrent suspicions without justification regarding fidelity of spouse or sexual partner. So this is the criteria that you use to diagnose these people. You can take a photo and go through this at your own free time, or you can request for the notes, and I'll be more than glad to share them with you. And then we also have schizoid personality disorder. So we say these guys, they lack interest in social relationships. So that means they don't desire or enjoy close relationships. They almost always choose solitary activities. They have little interest, if any, in having sexual experiences with other persons. That means these guys can even fail to marry, and they don't have a problem. They're very happy about it. They take pleasure in few, if any, activities. They lack close friends or confidence other than first degree relatives, which even sometimes they completely don't. And then they appear indifferent to the praise or criticism of others. Then they show emotional coldness or detachment or flattened affectivity. Okay, so that's the criteria of diagnosing these guys. You can go through it as well. Let me just confirm something. All right, we are good. And then schizotypal. These guys are the people I've told you they have a difficulty in forming close relationships, and they may also behave strangely and have strange beliefs. Okay, so what are some of their characteristics or some of the symptoms of schizotypal personality disorders? They have ideas of reference, they have odd beliefs or magical thinking. Uh-huh. And then they have unusual perceptual experiences, including bodily illusions. They have odd thinking and speech. They have suspiciousness or paranoid ideation. They have inappropriate or constricted affect. And then they have behavior or appearance that is odd, eccentric, or peculiar. They lack close friends or confidence other than first degree relatives, and then they have excessive social anxiety. So these guys, they have this disorder called schizotypal, which can relate to schizophrenia. And that's what people normally, every time people hear about mental health, they think, or when people hear you went to a counselor, they think you have what? Schizophrenia. And these are some of the characteristics of schizophrenia. Although this is schizotypal personality disorder, which is somehow different from schizophrenia, which we will discuss in the future. So yeah, and then we have cluster B, which includes unstable emotions or dramatic and impulsive behaviors. So we have antisocial personality disorder, which we said, for instance, there is a birth order, we said they are social. Being social means at least you can interact with people. People confuse being social and being extroverted. Those are two different things. Okay, because we have seen someone with schizoid personality disorder, we cannot call them social because they do not interact with people at all. Okay, and they don't conform to social norms. Social norms could mean when I meet someone, I should say hi or I should behave in a certain way. Then they don't conform to that. So being social means you can interact with people, you can conform to social norms. That's what being social means. Then being extroverted, now that's what we normally think it's being social, because being extroverted now means you are a fun loving person, you are outgoing, you are blah blah blah. So when I say Sarah is social, it doesn't mean that I am outgoing, it doesn't mean that I am a fun lover. It just means that I know how to interact with people. Okay, I'm over explaining. Let me get into this disorder. So their characteristics, they have failure to conform to social norms, you see. So they can find themselves in a lot of unlawful behaviors like stealing and fighting and all that. Then they have deceitfulness, that is repeated lying, use of earlier or conning others for personal profit or pleasure. Then there is impulsivity or failure to plan ahead. They have irritability and aggressiveness. They are reckless and disregard the safety of others. They have consistent irresponsibility. They lack remorse. Okay, so that's about antisocial personality disorder. And then histrionic, these are people who have uh, emotionality and attention seeking. So they have these characteristics. They are uncomfortable in situations that they are not the center of attraction. The interactions often is characterized by inappropriate sexual, seductive, or proactive behavior. They rapidly shift and shallow expressions. They have rapidly shifting and shallow expression of emotions. They use physical appearance to draw attention to themselves. Their style of speech is impressionistic and lacking in details. They exaggerate expression of emotion. They're easily influenced by others or circumstances, and they consider relationships to be more intimate than they are. Okay, so those are histrionics. And then there are those with borderline. So borderline is a pattern of instability in interpersonal relationships, self-image, and affects. Okay, so their characteristics is they have efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. They are unstable, intense interpersonal relationships altering between two extremes, either idealization or devaluation. Okay, so these are guys that have a very weird, that's why we are saying it alternates between two extreme, either idealization or devaluation, because like we have said, they have a pattern of instability in self-image and marked impulsivity. So today it could be idealization, tomorrow it could be devaluation. Okay, and then identity disturbance, so an unstable self-image or sense of self. And then there is impulsivity in areas that are potentially self-damaging, so the impulsive in spending, in sex, in substance abuse, reckless driving, and binge eating. Then they have recurrent suicidal behaviors, and then they have affective instability, like intense my tongue is heavy right now, irritability or anxiety, intense episodic dysphoria. Okay, and then there is chronic feelings of emptiness, and then there is inappropriate intense anger or difficulty controlling anger, and then there is stress related paranoid ideation or severe dissociative symptoms. I explained this in details in the session September edition. So you can go back and check out the explanation. But these are some of the characteristics of borderline personality disorder. And then we have narcissistic, which is a pattern of grandiosity, or rather tunaitaga kujisikia, need for admiration or lack of empathy. We kushema nayo leo. So they have a sense of self-importance, preoccupied with success, power, brilliance, and beauty. They believe they are special, and can only be associated with other special or high status people or institutions. They require excessive admiration, they are unreasonable, and they expect to be treated in a certain way. They take advantage of others to achieve their own ends. They are unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others, and they are often envious of others or believe that others are envious of them. And then they are arrogant, haughty, and have attitudes. Okay, and then we have AVPD, which is avoidant personality disorder. People with this disorder are extremely sensitive to criticism or rejection by others. They may experience extreme shyness. Okay, so as much as as children grow up, this is normal. They will be shy, they don't want to say hi to guests and all that. But for people with AVPD now, it proceeds to join them in their adolescenthood, in their early adulthood, and even in their adulthood journey. Okay, they don't change. So these are some of the characteristics. Uh, they avoid occupational activities that involve significant interpersonal contact because of fear of criticism. So they don't want to be around people. Number two, they are unwilling to get involved with people unless they are certain of being liked. So if they sense I'm not going to be liked here, or I don't conform with these guys, they don't want to participate in it. And then they show restraint or within intimate relationships because of the fear of being shamed or ridiculed. So because they don't want to be shamed, they put you at an arm's length, like, well, let's associate when you are there and I'm here, not both of us here. And then they are preoccupied with being criticized or rejected in social situation. So they'll always be looking out, am I being criticized, am I being rejected? Or if you criticize them, then they'll be preoccupied about the criticism. And then they are inhibited in new interpersonal situations because of feelings of inadequacy. And then they view self as socially inept, personally unappealing or inferior to others. And then they are usually reluctant to take personal risks or engage in new activities because they may prove embarrassing. I believe that's self-explanatory. And then there we have OCPD. Okay, this is not OCD. This is OCPD, which is often confused with OCD. So when you hear people telling you I have OCD, most likely they are talking about this. But because they don't know, people have claimed to be having OCD. And OCD, my God, I think I should do it as one of those special ones early next year so that we avoid saying that we have a disorder that is very different. It's the same way I've told you about being antisocial or being social and being extroverted. Two different things, but we often confuse them. Okay. Anyway, so this is a pervasive pattern of preoccupation with orderliness, perfectionism, and mental interpersonal control at the expense of flexibility, openness, and efficiency, beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts, as indicated by. So, one, preoccupied with details, rules, lists, order, organization, schedules to the extent that the major point of an activity is lost. They were too detailed. Number two, shows perfectionism that interferes with tasks completion. So because they are striving to be perfect, they end up not finishing tasks, whether it's an assignment or some work at their workplace or just house chores, perfectionism. And then is excessively devoted to work and productivity to exclusion of leisure activities and friendships. And then number four is overconscious, scrupulous, and inflexible about matters of morality, ethics, or values. Mhm. And then is unable to um, discard worn out or worthless objects even after they have no sentimental value. Hmm? You have a box in your house that has stayed 5 years and you've never used it for anything, but you are just holding on to it that one day you are going to use it, or a dress or some of these things that we hold on to. And then is reluctant to delegate tasks or work with others unless they submit to exactly their way of doing things. So they cannot invite people to help them to do some things because they are scared they are not going to do the way I would do it. So let me do it by myself. So they won't delegate. And then number seven, they adapt to miserly spending style towards both self and others. So money is viewed as something that is to be hoarded for future catastrophes. So they are misers. They keep money. They don't spend. We have spenders and overspenders and but these ones, they are misers. And then they show rigidity and stubbornness. And then in cluster C, we also have DPD, which is dependent personality disorder. It causes an extreme fear of being alone and the need to be taken care of. Okay. So these people, they have difficulty in making everyday decisions without an excessive amount of advice or reassurance from others. They need others to assume responsibilities for most major areas of their lives. They have difficulty expressing disagreement with others because of fear of loss of support or approval. So even if they don't agree with you, they'll keep quiet because they don't want to lose support or approval. They have difficulty initiating projects or doing things their own way. Sorry, just a minute. We are winding up. This is the last disorder we are going to do. And this is the last disorder we are going to do. Sorry for that. Well, so we were talking about dependent personality disorder, yeah. So they have difficulty expressing disagreement with others because of fear of loss of support. And also we have said they have difficulty initiating projects or doing things on their own because they lack self-confidence. And then they go to excessive lengths to obtain nurturance and support from others to the point of volunteering to do things that are unpleasant. They don't like these things, but they'll do them because, again, they want that support and love and all that. And then they feel uncomfortable or helpless when alone because of exaggerated fears of being unable to care for themselves. And then they urgently seek another relationship as a source of care and support when a close relationship ends. So they finish a relationship with Sarah today, and by tomorrow they are already looking for the next target to get into a relationship with. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationship, I mean every other type of relationship. This is because they just cannot do without a relationship, because like we have said, they have a pervasive and excessive need to be taken care of, and they want that assurance, and they fear separation, they fear being alone. Okay. And for everything they do, they need an advice or approval from others. So anyway, number 8 is unrealistically preoccupied with fears of being left to take care of themselves. So how can I track my self-awareness journey? One, learn as much as possible about where you are from, including your conception, pregnancy, and childhood. Learn about that. It's very important. If you need more details on this, please go back to Feb's edition. I talked in detail about it, okay? Number 2, know your characteristics, your abilities, and your potential, okay? So How did you get these things? How did I get these characteristics? I am hardworking, I know, but how did it come about? Because we have people, even in our families, who are not hardworking. You were born in the same family, same parents, brought up in the same ways. How comes you are the hardworking one, this other one is not? Why? Okay. And then how comes this one is ambitious, this one is not? Learn about that as well. How did you get them? And then learn your strengths and maximize them. I've already mentioned this. Learn your weaknesses and work on them. Grab every opportunity that strengthens your strengths and helps you work on your weaknesses. So, like I normally love to say, these sessions are some of the opportunities that can help you strengthen some of your strengths, okay? And they can also help you work on your weaknesses. You can know I have a certain personality disorder. How can I work on it, okay? And then run from any threats or anything that may cause your strength to diminish or your weaknesses to become more strong. Okay, so that's the number 3 thing that is going to help you in your self-awareness journey. And then number 4, I say this when we started, and I always say the people factor. Have meaningful relationships, people who can tell you the truth about who you are, and people who can help you become more self-aware. Otherwise, that said, that was our self-awareness series, and it was an interesting one, and I believe insightful. So this slide is like a summary of all the sessions that we did, as you have seen. Okay, all the sessions that we did on self-awareness. These slides are a summary. So you can have them, you can have the notes, you can have the sessions, you can share with your loved ones, or whatever you've learned today. Please make sure that you talk to one or two other people about it. That's part of the ways that we are making a meaningful impact in our societies and becoming better day by day. Otherwise, I appreciate your support. Because I don't see any. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Joy. I appreciate. Thank you for texting in as well, because I wouldn't have known if you are here. And everyone else who has joined the session tonight, I really appreciate you. I wish you a good night, and we are going to pick it up next month, God willing, when we'll be talking about a very interesting thing about the stages that we are in our lives. Okay, for each and every one of us, we're going to talk about some of those stages and how they impact our self-awareness. That will be the cherry on top. Okay, yeah. Otherwise, have a lovely night. I appreciate every one of you, and I love you. Good night.